Hey, chums, welcome back to a Game with Chums podcast. I'm your host for this episode, Paulus, Paulie D, Paulie C, Paulie Pastor Ducci to the left hand side. And with me is my ever happy and bright, sunshine, the affable shorts, no sleeve, Mr. Roars. How you doing?
I'm not happy.
Well,
I've had
fuck,
two
you know
weeks off
that.
work and I've got to go
Jesus
back to
Christ.
work tomorrow. So
we can
I'm
we can tell by that slapped ass you got on your look on your face that you're not happy. So
I'm deeply depressed at the moment. Back to
we
work
all are.
tomorrow. Back
We
to
all are.
normality. Sucks.
We are. Yep. Yeah. Like Mr. Ross said, we've been away. We went to this will tie into our main discussion, but yeah, we went to Portugal with some friends to see a band called Rammstein from Germany. And we decided uh to make it a bit of a holiday and go to a place that no, no, well, I know you've been there before, but the other people haven't, like our other friends haven't been there before, and I haven't been there. So we decided to go to Lisbon in Portugal, and it was a jolly good time. We had a really nice time. But we'll discuss that a bit more. But first of, have you been doing anything, playing? I kind of know the answer, but watching, playing with yourself. I don't know. What's been
That's
up?
an incredibly personal question.
Uh,
No,
mm-hmm.
obviously it's Sunday as we're doing this, and we got back very late Wednesday evening, so I had like 3 days since we got back, so I haven't done much. I finished off the latest season of Demon Slayer, which was good. And then I've just played a very little bit of both Diablo 4 and Trails from Zero, which I'm slowly working my way through. So yeah, I haven't really done much, just kind of trying to recover from a week of drinking and uh, and a lot of walking around a very hot city.
Mm,
So it's been mainly just sitting around doing very little.
mm.
How about you?
As you know, I've also been recovering from a week of drinking and walking around a very hot city. In terms of playing, not much. I haven't played much. I've been streaming Dragon Age Inquisition, getting to the end of that again. Forgotten, how much of a good, yeah, pretty decent game. I wouldn't say it was game of the year. Like I think it won a few awards saying or game of the year. But I don't think it's game of the year. But it's still a thoroughly enjoyable game. Yesterday I was up in London town, like central London, doing a bit of karaoke at our favorite place. Not Dan's favorite place, but our favorite. Well, I quite like the place there,
Because
and
everybody, it was Paul's birthday. Wish him a happy birthday in the comments below.
thank you. So yeah, just did that and mingled around Pride. It was Pride parade yesterday in central London, and there was a fuck ton of people there. So it was very busy. But fun was had by everyone, and I'm now paying the consequences today because I drank a absolute diabolical amount of soju. You know, your favorite drink.
It's
Um,
dangerous, that stuff.
yeah,
Creeps up on you.
it's about must have polished about 5 bottles of the grape. They only have one flavor in the karaoke place. It's grape. So polished 5 of those off, bad boys off, and had a few beers in one of the pubs in Soho yesterday, and yeah, it was a thoroughly enjoyable Saturday, but then you pay the price on Sunday, so I'm paying the price now. And just watched Lost in Translation. I had the urge to watch it, and then just was like, let's watch it. Great film, bit
Good
creepy,
film.
creepy. Like at the time, Scarlett Johansson was 17 years old when that time of that filming, and there's old 50-year-old Bill Murray macking on her. So it's a bit weird. I know she's not supposed to be a 17 in the film, but she was 17 in real life. So yeah, it's kind of like weird, but good movie overall. About two strangers meeting each other. And slowly forming a connection. It's all good in the backdrop of Tokyo, which kind of makes you miss like Japan or Tokyo because you see things, you see landmarks, you see activities, and you think, oh, I wish I was back there having a damn thoroughly good adventure. Maybe
Yeah,
meeting a 17-year-old um, Scarlett Johansson. But other than that, that's all I've been doing, man. But that's
yeah.
all I've been
Someone
doing.
from my work came back from Tokyo just before we went to Lisbon and was talking about it. And I was like, oh man, I want to go back now. It's a
Mm,
lot of money. And if I'm
yeah,
going to
it's
blow
hard.
that kind of money, I'd probably just go to South Korea instead and take another place off my list. But I'd love to go back to Japan.
Yeah, I mean, South Korea is also on my list. I've been meaning to go there, but obviously you had the pandemic and so lockdown, so no one could travel. So that's been on the back burner for about 4 years. But buying the flight is not too bad because you can buy that and then you got like normally you have like 7 or 8 months to save up for the trip. So that's kind of good. So I might do that for sometime next year. I know my sister wants to go there as well, so might arrange a little trip. But yeah, all good, man. Um, Speaking of which, quick game news. I mean, obviously we got the ongoing saga of the Activision Blizzard deal with Xbox. That's
We
gone to
do.
gone to the court, like to remove the injunction that the FTC is put on the merger.
Well, the
So they don't.
FTC has gone to court to try and get a preliminary injunction
That's the one. That's what I
because
thought.
they had they were thinking that Microsoft were going to try and close the deal over the objections of the CMA, which I don't see how they could do, but I'm not a lawyer. But
Oh,
so
you
they
know.
went
Oh,
to try and look. They went to court to try and get a preliminary injunction. So there's been a hearing of last week, I think it was. It was mainly while we were out in Lisbon, so we weren't really following it. So we're not particularly up to date on it because we were too busy drinking and enjoying ourselves. But it sounds like a lot of juicy stuff came out of the hearings. So maybe we'll spend some time properly digging into that and maybe we'll talk about that another time. But I think the hearing's finished now and it's expected that the judge will make a decision early this week, I think, this coming week. So I guess we'll find out more. And then
mm,
maybe we'll have something more to discuss next time. But it's still
yeah.
going on. So it's
Yeah.
been like a year and a half now.
Certainly has. Certainly has. Um, Anything else? We recently had the Xbox showcase. We haven't really spoken about that, but it was a good showcase for Xbox.
It's
Obviously,
good.
you still got the naysayers saying that there was too much CG. Then people saying it's in-game footage. And they were like, then can we have some gameplay? So it's like a never-ending like list of finding something to complain about. So, but yeah, it was a good one. It had showed us a lot of games, a lot of first party exclusives.
Oh,
Yeah, and you got
they all look great.
Fable looked good, and also they had Starfield had their own showcase, which really got me hyped for the game.
Game just
Uh,
seems absurd. It's just everything in it.
it's a lot to do in there. Um, it's going to be running at 30 frames on the Xbox consoles. So swings and roundabouts. But yeah, the game does look really fun and really enjoyable, and that's all you want, really. You want a fun, enjoyable game, and hopefully, it's a return to form for Bethesda because obviously you had Fallout 4, which released to fairly good reviews, but it fell short of people's expectations, and Fallout 76, which less said about that, the better. But, yeah, hopefully it's a new IP by Bethesda, and when was the last time they had a new IP? So
More than
yeah,
two
looking forward
decades
to it.
ago.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it'll be the next Skyrim space. That's what people want, and everyone loves Skyrim. Well, not everyone. Some people find the faults with it all of a sudden. So
Tens of millions of people love Skyrim.
Hmm. But speaking of which, of our holidays, this is going to be like our sort of mainish topic. What we're going to discuss. Like if you could, Mr. Oz, you can pick multiple. You don't have to just be one. But if you could go to a location anywhere in any video game, where would you go and why would you go there? I mean, I'll start with you. Like we could just shoot some shit. We can just talk about like multiple locations, worlds, and environments we would like to go if we could go into a video game world. Where would you like to?
So I suppose for this topic, you're going to have to kind of set aside the fact that generally in video games, the world is about to end, or they have like
Depends what.
multiple world-ending catastrophes that are coming. So really have to ignore that part and just talk about the world itself.
Well,
Put
yeah,
that
like
aside.
location. Yeah.
But Eorzea from Final Fantasy 14 would probably be top of my list just because it's a huge world. I've spent like 10 years visiting it through my PC.
Hmm.
And you got like a mix of there are some very sort of high technology stuff there, but it's very sort of, I wouldn't say medieval fantasy, but it's a fantasy land. And you've got I think I've started 3 characters. I've only really got one main, but I've kind of messed around with a couple. And I always end up starting in Gridania as a starting city, which is just a huge forest and these like towns built of like wood and everything. It's very sort of naturalistic. And when we went to Tokyo 4 years ago now, I think it was, we went to the Eorzea Cafe in, damn it, the place was falling out of my head, where all the anime shops and everything are.
Hey, bar.
Akihabara, yeah. They got the Eorzea Cafe in Akihabara, and that was like one thing I really wanted to do when we went out there. And we booked it ahead of time, and it's modelled after the Adventurers Guild in Gridania, which was part of the reason I wanted to go because that place kind of feels like a second home in a sense. So I always use that as my starting city, and then for like the first 15 levels of the game, you're constantly going back there to talk to NPCs and pick up quests and stuff. So yeah, I think Gridania from Final Fantasy 14 would want to be one I'd like to go to. Obviously, there's been multiple world-ending catastrophes that have happened in that world, so you'd kind of set that aside, just enjoy the world itself. But I think that's the first one that immediately comes to mind. But then
Hmm.
obviously it's a huge world with like tons of different cities and areas and biomes and everything. So live in Gridania and then just kind of explore the world from there. Just basically how the game goes, really. If you start from there.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, man. Like I think like a lot of Final Fantasy games got good locations and good worlds. One that springs to the top of my off the top of my head is probably Final Fantasy 7, and I'm talking about the beach town. Is it
Costa del
Costa
Sol.
del Sol?
I was
Oh,
slightly worried you were going to say Midgar,
yeah.
and I was like going to be like, nah, man, Midgar,
Midgar. Yeah, yeah.
living under the rotten pizza.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Costa del Sol, man. It's got all you want, you know. Got sexy beaches, sexy sand, sexy weather, and sexy people with giant swords. I don't know if the new game's going to explore that. The remake, I'd use that term very loosely. If they're going to explore Costa del Sol, I think they will.
I think they probably will. I think they said they're
Probably
going to
will.
keep all locations, didn't they? Just not necessarily
Mm,
like in the same order and everything. Maybe I'm
yeah,
making
yeah,
that up. I don't know. I'm sure I remember reading that at some point.
yeah. So yeah, like places like that, Costa del Sol, man. I'm kind of thinking, well, it's set in fantasy world, so there'll be magic, but it's set in the beach. It's kind of weird because there's an actual place called Costa del Sol in Spain, and that's inhabited by loads of like expats and holidaying Brits and stuff, and that's my idea of a living nightmare. But over, but in that world, yeah, I can see like Costa del Sol, just because of the sun, sand, and beaches. And yeah, I'll say that for now, just for the familiarity of it all as well, because I can't actually remember what you do in that. why you go there. You go there to visit someone, don't you?
You get the ferry from Junon
That's yeah,
because Junon is on the first continent, and Costa del Sol's like the port on the other side, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
It's been a
And
while, but I'm pretty sure
yeah,
that's why you go there.
good. And the gang like sort of spend a bit of time there to relax and unwind after yeah, all the adventures and stuff they've got up to. But yeah, Costa del Sol. What's the name of the planet of the world of Final Fantasy?
I think it's just Gaia.
Gaia, Gaia. Yeah, so imaginative
I
names
think that
for
was
Earth.
I think
Mm,
that was like I don't think it was originally supposed to be called Gaia. I think that was like a not necessarily a retcon, but like a later thing with maybe the compilation. So I don't remember it actually being specifically named in the original game, but fairly
mm.
sure it is called Gaia.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's also a beach resort area in Final Fantasy 14 in Lenosha, which is like a coastal city, and it's called Costa del Sol as well. And it's
Homage,
all like,
probably. Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, but it's all like it's like a beach area, and then they've got these wooden platforms and wooden huts like on piers leading out into the sea. Very
Mm,
picturesque. But yeah, there's plenty of places like that that are like obviously obvious callbacks to the original, not the original, like the older games,
mhm.
and then characters that are named after characters, and then you've got entire like storylines that kind of crib from the older games, which is really cool. But yeah, Costa del Sol in Final Fantasy 7 and 14.
Cool. Well, anything else you got? Any other ones we can divulge? I mean,
Mm.
I chose Costa del Sol just because of the sand, the sun, and relaxing and stuff like that. But not necessarily like the world of Gaia. But, yeah, got that part. But anything else that you would think will make a good, if you could sell it as a holiday location, if you were to sell it to someone who knew nothing about it, how would you sell it? Like to for your new your new choice.
That's a good question because I don't know what I'm going to pick yet. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
How many games have you
Somewhere that
played,
wouldn't
man?
be terrible.
You got so
Yeah.
many games. You played hundreds and hundreds of games.
Well, I mean, if you could pick like a setting instead of just like one specific place, and like Mass Effect would be an interesting setting to go to because it's far enough in the future that you've got space travel and multiple like alien races to kind of get to know and everything. Um, but then trying to think of a specific place in Mass Effect,
The
I don't know,
Citadel.
like the Citadel would be somewhere to go and just kind of
It's got everything you need.
feels like you could explore the Citadel, like not just the parts that are in the game, but like the actual entire Citadel. Feels like you could spend years exploring that
Hmm.
and not see all of it. So you see
Mm.
so little of it in the games, and it's weird as well. I always thought it was weird in the sequels that you don't visit the same parts of it again.
Mm.
I think it would have really helped to kind of sell the scale of it if you got new areas and the old areas. But yeah, like the Mass Effect universe as a whole would be pretty cool. It'd be good to go. Like go and visit Thessia, the Asari homeworld, because that looked like it would have been cool if it wasn't half destroyed by the Reapers in Mass Effect 3.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've probably got a mix there. You've got places you wouldn't want to go as well, like Tachanka. No reason to go there. Just
Desolate
big angry
wasteland, isn't it?
Krogans. Mm.
Yeah, some nuclear wasteland. They blew each other up with nuclear war bombs, didn't they? Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, the Mass Effect world is pretty cool. Yeah, Citadel, I wouldn't mind going there. That'd be nice, isn't it? But if I was to
Go for a
sell,
swim on the Presidium.
yeah, oh yeah. But if yeah, I mean, if I could think of one, it'd probably be Rapture. You know, the city under the sea before it all went to shit. I mean, look at that, man. Like selling it, it's a city under the sea. You got no like sort of restrictions on how to, there's no restrictions on technology. Very loose morals when it comes to genetic to studying humans and stuff. But the city under the sea is a quite a good concept, man. Like I've kind of like kind of surprised that no one's actually tried to build a city under the sea. Has that ever been attempted by any nation, like build underwater city?
It's
Because
a
it's
good
seen so much.
question.
it's in so much media. You know, I don't understand why no one. There must be an eccentric billionaire out there who's willing to build a city under the sea. I mean,
Well,
like,
there's eccentric billionaires out there, but they all want to build cities on Mars or something
mm,
instead at the moment. They're all about going to space, probably so they
yeah.
can strip mine this planet of its resources and then move on to the next one and leave the rest of us for death. Anyway,
Oh, this took a dark turn, didn't it? I
but
mean,
yeah, I'm trying to
I
think of like games I've played where you spend a lot of time on undersea like cities or bases, and they
mhm.
never end well.
I mean, I'm surprised that like no one from Saudi, the Gulf countries, the Saudi states haven't built for. I don't know. I got so much money. Let's build a city under the sea. I mean, they built floating islands there, like new islands, like Pat. You've seen those ones, like they're all like
Palm
fancy.
tree thing.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But I wonder why no one's thought, hey, what about under the sea?
There'll be no
Life,
accusations, just friendly crustaceans.
yeah, under the sea. So I don't know. You might say like, just imagine trying to sell it to someone like, you've got a housing crisis or we lack the land. Why don't they go? Why don't we build some social housing under the sea? I don't
Probably
think
because
that would
one
move.
leak and the entire city would be destroyed.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like really deep down under the sea. I mean, like probably like 50 feet down under the sea. 30 feet will be good. You can swim it then. Like if worst comes to the worst, you can swim 30 feet. I think if you so, I mean, you learning how to swim will be a must if you decide to live under the sea. I mean, the logistics of it just is mind-boggling. Like all that water pressure, and they're trying to build like your foundations. Can you imagine getting the contractors in trying to build under the sea?
just stand there going,
Oh.
how are we gonna? How are we even gonna get food down here?
I mean, you can get food down there. You just get it like get a submarine, get it down there. You get your weekly shop down there. You can probably grow your own food down there after a while. Like you want once you got everything like set up there, you can like grow your own food. It won't lack for seawater would probably kill vegetables and plants, but yeah, I mean,
There'd be no sunlight either.
just do you really, I mean, like you can build artificial one. Like, come on, man, you're putting roadblocks in the way here, man. Come up with some solutions
I'm just
instead of
trying to be
like,
realistic.
look, that attitude will not make a city built under the sea. Andrew Ryan would not like this negative, like all these like stumbling blocks that you're putting in front of me, man. Just
Oh,
get it built.
let's go from under the sea to in the sky. What about Colombia and Bioshock Infinite?
See that I could do, but I never got Colombia right because it moved, right? The city moved. It was
I
floating
think so.
city.
Yeah, it's floating around
So like, what if like how far up in the air was it? It was pretty far, wasn't
pretty
it?
far.
And how did the Booker get up there? He got up there by a pod, right? So that means it must have been stationary to get that, like,
Unless
to
they're
go
just
up.
mapping its flight path and know where it'll be at a certain time.
How did
I
you
don't
map
know.
its
It's been a
flight path?
long time since.
I
Well, I
can't
mean,
like
it'd be able to track it in some way, wouldn't you?
because who? But it wasn't part of the government thing, was it? It sort of
Well,
went
yeah, but you'd
rogue.
have someone on the ground, wouldn't you?
Really? Just imagine being born in the air. Like you're like you technically like weren't born on like you're born in the sky. Yeah,
Out of the
you're
sky.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think the transportation system is particularly very,
It certainly wasn't very
efficient.
safe.
Yeah, I mean, like you're just holding on there with a railing, just spinning, going around. Surely they
Yeah,
would have built some cable cars or something like that.
don't let
No,
go of that sky hook. Otherwise, it's a long way down.
if we ignore the rampant racism in Colombia, it could be a good location. Yeah, if you're like if you're like a person of color and and Irish, then you're pretty much bollocks then, aren't you? So they only want pure Aryan people there. I mean, that could like hamper your like if you want to go there to visit you're like I don't know if you have friends up there or something like that,
Well, I
you
think
wouldn't
you
be allowed
just
to
have
go.
to decide, guess we're not friends anymore.
Did
Can't
they
go
have
to
did they
Rapture.
have did they have planes there? Like, did they have like airplanes that land in with supplies and shit?
Not that I can remember.
Remember?
It's been like over a decade since I played it. I've only ever played it the once.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I remember thinking it was a really cool setting. Obviously,
Mm,
that the whole thing with like the Bioshock games is cool setting, rotten to the core.
hmm
Like the original Bioshock is like capitalism and libertarianism run rampant, and then the other Bioshock Infinite is like here's this wondrous floating city, but it's built on racism and everything else,
I mean,
bigotry, and
it must be hard to breathe up there if they're that high up.
it's a fair point.
I'm thinking like we're just
See now
putting holy.
who's poking holes.
When you think about it, it just doesn't make any sense, really. Just like, wait a minute, how did they breathe up there? Thin air must be pretty thin. I mean, people need oxygen to climb up certain mountains, man. Jesus Christ. And that was pretty high up in Bioshock, if I'm not mistaken.
Was
Yeah,
up in the clouds.
yeah, it certainly was indeed. If you can not tell, we're like trying to we there wasn't much of a topic for this podcast, so we are trying to keep the conversation flowing. But anything anywhere else, Mr. Ross? Anywhere else would you think you would like to visit?
Hmm.
Come on.
Would it be
Infinite
cheating? Say the world of Yakuza because we've actually technically been there.
what? Tokyo?
Yeah, well, specifically Kamurocho, which is
Kamurocho.
Kabukicho.
I don't know. I don't like Kabukicho. I think that part of Tokyo is kind of shit, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. And it doesn't let a lot of foreigners in, like certain clubs and stuff. You have to be
Probably a
Japanese.
good thing, to be honest. It's a lot of the Yakuza owned. But no, you've got
Yeah.
like other areas the series goes to, like you go to Osaka and Yakuza 3 is like set in Okinawa, which I'd really like to go to Okinawa. It kind of feels like cheating because it's a real place.
Mm.
But
I mean, yeah, it's one of those places I've always wanted to go to is Okinawa and maybe Hokkaido. One of those ones, and, like I heard Hokkaido is really beautiful, but it's probably if you're going to go there, you might as well go in during the winter because then that's probably the best. It's famous for its snow, isn't it? Really?
mm, that
Yeah.
ice festival thing, don't they?
Mm.
Looks
Yeah.
pretty cool.
What's their biggest town? It's Sapporo, isn't it?
I think so.
Mhm. No. Okay. Cool. I mean, ooh, if I could pick a world out of all the other world, if I could pick a destination, I'll probably, like the town. Well, I was going to say the town in Silent Hill, but Silent Hill itself,
Wow.
it's a spooky ghost.
Try selling try selling that one.
Listen, listen.
Basically, it's this deserted town where your
Yeah,
nightmares
yeah.
come to life.
Listen,
Sounds
like, hey,
great.
man, come on, just think about it. Like, you could sell it as like like people like going to like excluded zones. Like people go thrill seekers, like going to what was the place with the meltdown? Chernobyl. You got people
Chernobyl.
go there. Yeah, yeah. They go. People do go to these places and go to abandoned towns and stuff. So
It's like
why
there's
just
that town in the US that's
it's based?
like that they based like Silent Hill in the film off of, wasn't it? I think
Mm-hmm.
there was like a mine fire or something, and
Still
and
burning
it's
or something,
still
isn't it?
yeah, it's like still burning, so the town's still like smoking. Can't
Yeah.
remember what the place is called, but they based Silent Hill in the film off of that place.
Yeah, I mean, like you could sell it like if you're looking for adventure, looking for thrills.
You
If
might
you're
not
looking,
survive.
you might not survive, but I know some people would definitely be up for that, man. I could sell that. That's like this place is really cool. It's pretty like if you're into this extreme, if you're into extreme holidays, I got the place for you, man. You can your deepest darkest secrets will be will, will be will be uncovered. You know, but you obviously you got to have the staples in there. It'll be like Jurassic Park or something. You know what I mean? Look over there, like there's
There's a T Rex. Maybe start running or stay
no
or
no
stand still.
like this pyramid head over there. Don't move. it's visions based on movement, and you got the sexy nurses and all that shit. So you probably could sell it. It's different for everyone, man. Like it's never the same. You never go to the same Silent Hill. Everyone has their own experience. That's how you can sell it, man. Not you got this five
Yeah,
chaps.
what if your nightmares are just like cuddly teddy bears
Then
and you
yeah,
go to
you are.
Silent Hill?
Yeah, you have like bloody. They'd probably be vicious teddy bears like in Silent Hill 3, well, the bunny rabbit
Mhm.
and stuff in it. So probably like have
Robbie
a
the
knife
rabbit,
and yeah, probably they'll probably warp it in some way. I don't think you can ever have like a, even if you have like you're
a
scared of
fear
teddy
of
bears. Yeah,
balloons.
yeah, fear of clowns, like, and you have Pennywise running after you all the time. Yeah, man. Silent Hill, man. I can sell that. Yeah, come to Silent Hill. You might not
You
be
might
able
not
to
leave.
leave. Yeah, so good you'll probably never leave. Yeah. So anything else you got? What else we got?
Um, Another one that might be good without all the monsters is the game's actually kind of divisive, I guess, is one word. But I think I'm also kind of mixed on the game. But I really like the world in Final Fantasy 15. It's kind of a cool world. It's kind of grounded for a fantasy video game land, but then you've got like those weird like spires of rock arching over the sky that gives it its own kind of
Mm-hmm.
weird feeling. Um, it's another world that's got a bit of everything as well. But yeah, minus all the monsters, you can go out and like camp out at night with all your branded Coleman camping gear.
Uh-huh.
Just make sure you take a friend with you who knows
Mm.
loads of recipes.
I mean, why not, man? Like, if you want a lad's holiday, right? You mean that's what technically Final Fantasy 15 is. A group of lads camping out together, having a
With
good
a
old time.
transforming car.
Exactly. So yeah, if you want a lad's holiday, Final Fantasy, the world of Final Fantasy, probably be an ideal place for you. You know,
Well,
camp
yeah,
out
I
with
mean,
the
most people go
lads.
to like Falaraki or something, but I know we'll go and camp out in the wilds.
Mm,
And then, maybe you'll see like a 200-story summon creature throw a
mm,
lightning bolt at something.
yeah,
That's a bonus. But no,
yeah.
it's a really cool world though. It's very kind of, again, much like Gridania in Final Fantasy 14's Eorzea. It's a very sort of naturalistic environment. Just
Hmm.
probably isn't like a million miles away from somewhere you could find here on Earth. Just full of monsters instead of people.
Mm,
But are people the true monsters, Paul?
I think they are. Well, I think we are. Yeah, we're the true monsters. Besides the actual monsters, yeah, spooky
The ones under your
monsters.
bed.
Yeah. Did you ever get told that as a child? Like, did your parents ever tell you about like the boogeyman or something like that?
No, they
Is
told me
that
there was no boogeyman and there were no monsters under my bed. Are you telling me your parents told you the opposite? Because that sounds like
no?
child abuse.
I don't know where that came from because I don't know if anyone's parent told you about the boogeyman or the monster in the cupboard or the monster in your under your bed or stuff like that. I don't know where that came from. Is that just an American thing that they told their kids just to behave themselves? I wonder where all like, it must kind of be based on something.
It
Might be
probably
worth.
comes from like Brothers Grimm fairy tales and stuff like that. It's all based on like scaring the shit out of kids to keep them in line, isn't it? So it's probably just like an evolution of that.
Well,
But
some kids need that, little terrors these days, aren't
yeah,
they?
some kids are assholes.
Yeah. Do you reckon your little nephew is going to grow up to be a pain in the ass?
Nah, you just have a lot of energy. You just have
Mm.
to like give him sedatives or something. I don't know. That sounds bad.
18 months old and give him his 70s. Jesus Christ. He could just go out and play in the park or something, burn
Yeah,
off
do
all that
that.
energy.
Burn that energy off.
Yeah. Unlike the Americans, if your kid's got like ADHD, they just prescribe you shit tons of tablets just to keep them docile instead of letting them burn off the energy by playing sports or something like that, or just keeping them active. Then anyway, we're not here to talk about like how people should parent their children, but do you have anything else that what world would make an ideal holiday location, or would you like to visit? Because I've got a couple more.
Or why don't you give me one more while I have a think?
I like to go to Hyrule, Zelda Land. I mean, think about it, yeah. Before Ganon comes and ruins it all, it's a pretty nice place to live, man. Yeah, apart from obviously you got the dangers there of the monsters and shit. But Hyrule, I like to visit. It'll be a fun, it's got a bit of everything for you. It's got the mountains, you got the forest. What's the forest that Link grows up in? Is it
The Kiri Forest.
Akiri Forest? Go and visit a little. What was he supposed to be, an elf or something? Who does he grow up
He
with?
is I've forgotten what they're called.
They're called something. I think they're based on elves, though, aren't they? You can go and
Very
visit
much.
them. It's a talking tree, and like it's got varied landscapes, especially in Breath of the Wild. It's like very varied. So yeah, I mean, Hyrule probably be a good location. It's got castles. It's got a bit of history in there. It's got a royal family. So like we come from a country where there's a royal family, and people like to go and visit those places. So I think, yeah, like if you're into like visiting royals, you can go to shit. My fucking microphone's about to fall off. That's You can go to Hyrule and visit Princess Zelda and maybe have tea with her. What do you
I
think
mean,
about that?
probably not.
And we're back. So, any other places you would want to visit as a holiday destination, or you would just like to drop in and see what it's all about?
See what's going on.
Yeah.
I was thinking Psychonauts, but then I was thinking, I mean, that would be pretty cool, especially if you could actually go into people's brains like Raz does. But then I was
Mm.
thinking, you know what? There's another Double Fine game I'd like to visit. That's Brutal Legend. Again, probably a lot of monsters running around, but ignoring all that, it's just like this absurd, over the top heavy metal themed world. And it's one of the things I liked from playing the game was the setting, obviously the setting and the music.
Mm.
And I fell off the game about the same time as everyone else in the world when we discovered it was not secretly an RTS game, and that's not really what I'm into. But the world and the music and everything was really good.
Yeah, they kind of kept that secret, didn't they, when marketing it? Everyone thought it was
But
going to be like an
yeah,
action game, and then it turned
I mean,
into
it
an
was for
RTS.
like the first 5 hours or so. It was like a third
Mm.
person action adventure game. And
Mm.
I was like, oh, this is cool. I'll get in my drag car and drive around finding records to add to my radio, get out and hit things with an axe, see all these like landmarks that look like they belong on the cover of heavy metal albums. And then it's suddenly an RTS. I was like,
Mm.
oh. But yeah, the
Mm.
world was really cool. I'd really like to, if they announced a sequel, then I'd go back and like force my way through the RTS sections and finish the game. I've been thinking about replaying it for a while, but
You reckon they'll get rid of the if they did do a sequel? You reckon they'll get rid of the RTS since it
I
was
think
so
they'd probably
disliked?
keep it because it
You
was
reckon?
kind of, I mean, that's the game they wanted to make, and I think they really wanted to make an RTS game, but they kind of shoved it in a third person action adventure because they knew it wouldn't sell otherwise. But I think people are more aware of what it is now, so I think they'd keep it. But yeah, like Tim Schafer's expressed a desire to do a sequel over the years, so it'd be cool if they do. But yeah, the world was just really imaginative. It's not like something like a lot of stuff. You play a lot of video games, and a lot of the worlds kind of blend together. It's like, oh, here's another fantasy world. Here's another sci-fi world. Not to kind of like play down the amount of work that goes into those. Obviously, there's a ton of work and art and concepting and everything that goes into it. But that was like very unique. I don't
Mm.
remember ever seeing anything like that in a game before or since. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool. Wouldn't mind go for maybe like a long weekend and then get the hell out of there before the forces of hell descend on your Airbnb and chop you into pieces.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. One of mine will probably this is it's not set in the real world, obviously, but the setting is an actual based on the real world, and that is GTA 5, specifically Los Santos. think about it, Mr. Oz. Think about it. It is something like our world. It's based on Los Angeles, but it's not really. It's like a hyper realized version of our world. It's got all your amenities. It's got the sun, sand, beaches. It's got the modern conveniences, like like modern buildings and stuff. But you get to have fun in there. It's like you get to do whatever you want. If I was to go in that world and be a
Like
character
carjack
there,
people and shoot them and stuff.
carjack, do everything you can, live out your wildest fantasies, just go nuts, and there'll be zero consequences. So yeah, I'll probably be GTA. I like to go there and just like have fun in that world with zero. Have you ever thought about it? Like when you go into the real world, go just what if I could just do it? Like if you go out and go, what if I could just do anything I wanted and there'll be zero repercussions? You know, have you ever thought about that?
Don't think
No.
I have. Yeah,
Oh
and that
God,
sounds
man.
slightly psychopathic. I'll
Well,
tell you one
let's.
thing though.
Mm,
When I used to like in the first few Assassin's Creed games came out,
mm,
I did find myself like idly looking at like churches and stuff and going, how would I climb that?
mm.
So it's somewhat similar, but maybe less psychopathic.
Yeah, but like you could jump out of a plane in without a parachute in GTA 5.
I mean, you still die when you do that in the game. You just happen to respawn.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you can respawn, you can do whatever you want. This is it, man. Like I'm not we don't go into these worlds without the abilities and powers of that particular world. We won't go to like say like you go to the brutal legend world without having the abilities of the Jack Black character. You have to obey by their rules and their abilities, and that world is respawning and coming back to life. So you can live out, you can come do whatever you want. You can cause a giant pile up car crash, blow up everything, and if you were to die, you'll just respawn at a hospital. It's great, man. You know, live out your darkest, deepest fucking psychotic fantasy in the world of GTA.
This
But
just sounds like it's going to go to the way of some of the Steins Gate endings at this point.
I mean, like it's got casinos there, it's got bars, it's got restaurants. I mean, you can have a very good time there. You know, just with that, zero repercussions. And I sometimes think this is what virtual reality is going to do soon, isn't it? We're going to be like live, like Ready Player One, where it just takes us to that particular world where you're an avatar. You can sort of, you get out of your mundane, boring existence by slipping into the virtual world, which is pretty soon going to happen to us. Maybe not our generation, maybe in the next generation one, we're all like 80-year-olds, and the kids these days are just putting on VR helmets to have a good time. Where they're, can't even like hold our own piss anymore, shit in our pants.
And you walk into a room and everyone's just sitting in a chair with a helmet on.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how people live now.
I mean, you know, I kind of like envy and also pity the future generations of the human species. With what's going to happen. AI is probably
Going to be
going to
like
take
halfway
over.
between Sword Art Online and Wally.
It'll kind of like, I kind of feel like I don't want to be pessimistic. Like, hmm, like every time AI and robots are brought up, we always have that vision of like, oh shit, it's gonna go bad. And like every like film piece of media we've watched in video games, particular, shown up like it's going to go to bad. But we always think of the worst case scenarios. But I always want to think that maybe it won't be. Maybe it will be a great future. Maybe we won't be taken over by sentient, sentient machines. Maybe it'll be like if you ever watched that cartoon back in the days, an old one from Hanna-Barbera, called the Jetsons, and they have a robot maid stroke nanny thing, and they got floating cities, flying cars, and everything. I want to see a
Well,
little bit of
Jetsons is basically a
optimism.
utopia, and
Yeah,
that's why it's
maybe.
boring.
I mean, yeah, it was like the Flintstones as well, isn't it? I remember they did the crossover of that, and that was like, I remember they were like, "Oh God, you got to move your car by running it yourself." I mean, Fred Flintstone had some fucking fires on them to run that bloody car everywhere. But yeah, man. Um, we just kind of veered off then. But yeah, you got anywhere else, man? I've shown you my true psychotics side.
It's all coming out now.
Yeah. Have you got any where? Remember, like I should have probably stated that you can't you if you go into that world, you sort of obey and have the same abilities as those particular characters.
Does that
So
mean if I go into the world of Halo, I'm basically Master Chief?
well, you could be if you want, or you could be a marine that like dies really easily. It's up to
No,
you,
let's not do that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Especially one of the Marines in one of our co-op games. And just die immediately.
Yes, yes. But you got anything you want to do, or you want to go to Halo? You want to go to a ring world?
Not
Is that what you
really.
said?
I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
it'd be kind of similar to Mass Effect, and just in the sense of it being like a few hundred years in the future and being able to like, travel around the galaxy and that. I feel like that's already. I mean, I like the setting of Halo, but it'd be doing the same stuff as in the Mass Effect setting, really. Just exploring space, which is
Space.
space, which is fantasy, obviously at this point. But man, imagine if you're born like 2 or 3 centuries from now and you could actually just go to space, new
Yeah,
frontier.
do you reckon in 200 years will actually have the ability to just space travel and like it'll be like easy as getting on a plane?
Well,
Do you
either
reckon
that
that'll
or
be
we'll be extinct. Because I mean, the
yeah, either
planet ain't
that.
getting any cooler.
I mean, yeah, I mean that time that happens, we'll probably like Elon Musk probably like built his own little city on Mars called Elon
Muskville.
Town, Muskyville or something like that. You know, all these billionaires, that's what they all seem to be planning on doing, and they want to like explore space and get out of Earth as soon as possible because we're all fucking it up. But anyway, like this is escapism. Where like, come on, give me your
Well, seeing as I'm playing one of the games in this series now, the I'm playing Trails from Zero, which is part of a long-running series of like 12 games, I think, all set on the same continent of Zemuria. And I quite like the setting of that because it's kind of this sort of it's a little bit sort of old fashioned, but also kind of on the cusp of like their own kind of industrial revolution, using powers of these gemstones that can basically power everything from cars to airships to magic. So you could just like go and buy like a little watch-sized thing, stick some gems in it, and now you can throw fireballs around, which is always a plus. But then there's just it's a huge world, and you get to visit it. Like or there's like the games are split into like different arcs in different parts of the continent, so you get to see all these different areas, and it's a very appealing setting. So that'd be pretty cool. Maybe go and join the Bracer Guild and become part of a paramilitary force and just go and hit people with a big stick. That'd be fun.
hitting people with a big stick.
Yeah, in like this idyllic fantasy land with also big cities and airships and stuff. It's a pretty cool setting. So I've got a question for you that's kind of the opposite. What video game world would you not want to go to?
All of the ones we named. All of them. I mean, who the fuck wants to go? Like you said, like, if you really went to them, you'd probably be killed, ripped apart. Silent
All right,
Hill,
well
you
let me
get killed.
let me rephrase it. Which of these worlds would be unappealing to visit, even if you could respawn everything?
Be
Like Silent
unappealing.
Hill would be an obvious pick, but
Yeah, GTA. GTA. If the other people can visit there, it'll be a living nightmare. Can you imagine that? Just like you get one griefer and just like spawn kills you all the time and hunts you down. Have you ever seen like videos of GTA online? You always get that arsehole and who just goes around. You're trying to do like an adventure or something. It's kind of like Sea of Thieves where you get that one arsehole and you just like start killing everyone. It just won't leave you alone. It just drives you nuts. You just want to turn off the game, but you can't because you're stuck in that world for however long.
well, I mean more in the
But
sense of the world itself is unappealing, even if you were still obeying the rules, like you said before. Like imagine going to the world of Gears of War, even if you could respawn it, it'd still be just a horrible place to go to.
that'd be terrible. Yeah. I mean, do I have to pick it one that we've mentioned, or
No, just somewhere where you think would be wholly unappealing, where there's
uh,
basically nothing redeeming about it.
uh, yeah,
Like it's not like you
probably.
could go to the Gears of War world and be like, well, I'll just go to the beach because there are no beaches.
Um, Probably either. Yeah, Gears of War would be a good one because it's like a living nightmare. Even when they beat the flood. Even when they beat the locust, they come back. So it's just like, oh God, I'll do all this shit again. I've got to beat them again. Um, but yeah, that just looks like a living nightmare. But I think probably the Last of Us world because it is it's very grounded, and you kind of see that that could happen in our world, you know, and it'll just fall to shit, and it's just so miserable, especially the second game. That game is a miserable slog. It's a good game. Don't get me wrong, but my God, you feel like slitting your wrists afterwards. Just like Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you, Neil Druckmann? He's going through some depression or something. It's just so bloody like nothing good happens in that game in the second one. The first one had like some optimism about it. Well, kind of. You had the father daughter relationship with Joe, and finding the reason for him to sort of live again and enjoy life, and that's all taken away from you in the second one. And it's just a relentless, painful, miserable slog through. It doesn't make the game less fun, but good. But you got to admit,
Enjoyable.
it's so blood.
It
Everything bad
is.
happens.
It
It's just
doesn't help that
so
it's 35 hours long as well because that just makes it
oh,
feel even. I
it's,
mean, it's very
my
good,
God,
but it is. Yeah,
it's so like depressing, and it's what makes it even more depressing. You play as two different protagonists, so you get to see their miserable lives. Everything's miserable.
nobody's happy.
Even when you think Ellie gets a kind of like a little happy ending, that's taken away. It's all gone. No minus digits. Family's left her. She's got nothing. Just a hate. And now look what that got her. It's just you just like come away from that and just go, well, that was an enjoyable experience. I'm really glad I played that. Everyone's
Really
dead.
affirmed my
Uh,
my happiness.
yeah, so that kind of it's even without the infected running around, it's just a depressing game. It kind of makes me think how the third one's going to be. I mean, I kind of feel like they got to sort of come up with a new protagonist. Maybe the child that Ellie and what's her name? What's her
Dina.
girl? Had maybe set a few years in the future because I can't see you playing as Ellie again. Her story's kind of done. What more can
I
she
mean,
go
it could be
through?
Lev.
Um, Lev is a bit shit. Didn't really get vibe with Levy. I was just like, oh, okay. It could be Lev and and the child of Ellie. It could be the setting them. Obviously they got that hate, not hate thing, but that could be from their perspective. They could grow up to be best friends or something like that, or end up killing each other. That's the way that game seems to go. So
Hope for the future.
how
No, they're probably going to kill each other.
yeah, how old was Lev in the game? He was
I don't know, like early teens maybe,
early teens, yeah. And maybe they could, but I kind of see
because the ending
that
was Lev and Abby like going off
Abby
together, wasn't it?
and their
So
little
maybe
boat.
it could be something to
Yeah,
do with them. I don't know. I don't think they really need to do a third one, to be honest.
then they don't,
They
but they
did. That would
kind of
be in. Yeah, probably.
and it always comes at the last year of the current gen, so you don't expect Last of Us Part 3 until like probably another 5 years to the end of the
2028.
PS, the end of the PS5's life cycle. It's what it always seems to do because then they can remake it or re-release it on the PS6 or something like that. What they seem to do with that game, then remaster it, you know. Or if they had like, if they release it on PC, you don't really need to do that, but there you are. So, but yeah, that world is just fucking miserable. Everyone was miserable, and even I mean, like they did a nice little life for themselves in the town where Joel's brother founded. I don't think they gave it a name. That seemed pretty cool. And for a minute there, I was thinking, if this game goes, like, if that game goes and does and destroys that village, I'll be done with it. I'll be like, you know what, fuck it. I just had enough, Neil Druckmann. You're just like really fucking miserable bastard. Because I thought they were going to do that. I thought, oh shit. Because there was a scene in the trailer where you see it just somewhere burning, but it wasn't that. It was the fight with the scars and the bellies.
Seraphites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was them. There was that bit that was on fire, but luckily they didn't do that because it seemed like they had a nice little thing going there in that town. Self sufficient, you know, things are looking up. You know, obviously still got the infected about, but yeah, probably that, man. Yeah, fuck that world. It's miserable. I'd rather be in the world of Halo with the flood and shit, man. They'd go through that torturous world where
Well, yeah, at least in
everyone's
Halo, you can
miserable.
like join the Spartans if you're good enough,
Yeah,
and at least you get a decent gun and some
well,
armor.
even the new Spartans are shit though, man. Look how easily
Mm.
they get killed off so quickly. Only the Spartan threes are any good. The Spartan fives are terrible, or Spartan fours, whatever the fuck they are. They're yeah, the the conveyor belt ones, the quickly manufactured
Mass
ones are just
produced.
they're terrible against fighting the Covenant or the Banished. They all just got wiped out. This Chief has to do everything again. It's just like, well, I've got to clean this up again.
I do it all myself.
Yeah, yeah. But what about yourself before we wrap this up? Where would you not like to go?
Well, that was one of the two that immediately came to mind was The Last of Us. The other one, again, because I'm playing at the moment, is Diablo's World of Sanctuary,
Oh yeah.
especially in Diablo 4, because it's just like, okay, so spoilers for Diablo 3, but it is like 12 years old or something at this point. At the end of that game, half of humanity basically gets wiped out. And then Diablo 4 is like 30 years later, and humanity's just like on the brink. And
Mm.
every town is just dark and rainy and depleted. You step out of town and there's demons and monsters trying to claw your face off no matter where you go. Got all these like ancient temples and stuff that are just full of like evil ancient monsters and everything. It's a very dark, it's kind of the point. Diablo's kind of like a dark gothic fantasy horror kind of vibe. And it very much works for the game it is, but you wouldn't want to visit Sanctuary.
Mm.
And then you've got like a war between angels and demons kind of sitting above it all as well, and humanity kind of caught in the middle. It's a cool setting, but you would not want to go there for a holiday because you'd probably just
No.
die immediately. You know, oh,
No.
I'll walk to town and then just get killed by a random monster. And then you'd probably drop loot for somebody else or something. Come and
Sounds
loot your
good.
corpse for your little bit of gold
Yeah.
you've got in your pocket.
Hmm. Okay. That sounds bloody nice, doesn't it? Jesus Christ. Depression places, man. But yeah, I think we could leave it there unless you have anything else you would like to say. No? You
Nothing
shaking your
comes
head?
to mind.
All right. Well,
No,
that
I'm
was
sure like we'll finish this off and then like an hour later we'll be like, oh, this would have been a cool one and that would have been a cool.
yeah, I got some honorable mentions. The world of Skyrim, is it Tamriel? Tamriel?
Tamriel, it's the world of
Tamriel.
the Elder
It's all the
Scrolls.
yeah. So that yeah, I like to visit like Skyrim, go there, hunt some dragons, become the Dragonborn, and also Persona. I like the world of Persona, specifically Persona 4. Get to go there, hang out with your crew of
Yes, Arenaba.
yeah,
So
and
basically you just want to go to small town Japan.
no, oh shit, not Persona 4, Persona 5. Sorry, Jesus Christ, I've got them. Yeah, I don't want to go to a small town here. Fuck that. I want to go Shibuya, man. Get it on. Yeah, it's like our world, but with magic and
Demons.
powers and stuff like that. We get to change people's hearts and stuff. We don't kill them. We just change their hearts. But anyway, yeah, I think we're going to leave it there, Mr. Ross. It's been a brief one, but the subject we had, what we didn't have, we made it last as long as we could. But yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. This podcast is available on all podcast platforms apart from Apple Music. Just fuck Apple. Boo. Unless Apple wants to sponsor us, then I'll put it on Apple. Yay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you again next time. Bye. Say bye.
See you, pals.